Good morning and welcome back to my channel, Stitches with Love. My name is Elizabeth and this is where I share all about my knitting adventures both on and off the needles. And today is Sock Sunday, where I work exclusively on whatever socks I have on the needles at the moment. Most of what I knit is socks, but I do throw in some sweaters, maybe a pair of mittens here and there. But even if I don't work on socks throughout the rest of the week, I try to take one day a week where I work on whatever I have going on the needles and get as much progress done as I can. So before we jump into Sock Sunday, I have a couple of sort of non-knitting related things to share with you. And the first is my coffee. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I'm drinking it out of this very cute Linus mug. It says, "The Great Pumpkin is Coming." I don't care that the handle is broken. There was another cup that went along with this that had Snoopy on top of his doghouse, and unfortunately that one broke, and it's so sad because that was my cup. But my husband, when we were first married, I think it was probably within the first few years of our marriage, he would bring home coffee cups like this, and there was a matching set. And so he would have one and then I would have one. And so they're really kind of sentimental and special. It's still usable. It doesn't matter that the handle's broken, but it's very autumny outside right now. I haven't actually stepped foot out my door this morning, but it looks like it's a little cool. It's a little cloudy. It looks like there might be a little rain on the way. I don't know. So I put on the most autumny thing I had in my closet to wear, and I made a cup of coffee, and here we are. But this coffee that I wanted to tell you about is from a friend of mine. I got invited to Bunko this past Friday, and if you don't know what Bunko is, it's okay because I don't either. I know that it's a dice game and you play it with a group of women that talk all about the most personal things going on in their lives. And it was interesting because it's not the kind of setting I'm used to, but I enjoyed the fellowship and I enjoyed the game, even though I didn't really know what I was doing. But at the end of the evening, you get a prize. So for most wins, most losses, most bunkos, I don't remember what else. And the prize that I got to bring home was a coffee and chocolate basket. So it was filled with coffees and coffee things to go with it, little biscuits. There was some really good chocolate, a few other little goodies. I'm not going to show you the whole basket, but this was in that prize. This is Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey coffee. And I don't drink alcohol, but the flavor sounded interesting. So I thought I would give it a try. So there was enough in this little package to make in my stovetop espresso machine. And that is my preferred way to drink coffee. So that's how I made it. And then I added my usual collagen and cream and stevia, and it's not bad. I really can't tell you whether it tastes like Jack Daniel's whiskey because I don't know what that tastes like. It has almost a sort of caramely flavor to it. I don't know how to describe it. It's good. It's really not bad. There's enough left in my little pouch that I can make a pot, or I can make a cup in my Keurig. And I do find that if I make it in my Keurig, my coffee tastes very different than if I use my stovetop espresso maker. So that's what I'm sipping on this morning. And my other non-knitting related, as far as beverages, this is just plain water, but it's the cup I want to show you. And I don't know how well you can see that. I might not be able to get too close because of the light, but I bought this cup at Starbucks this past weekend which I don't normally do. I don't often go to Starbucks, and even more rarely do I buy something that's not a coffee. But I saw this cup, and the reason I love it is because it has this really beautiful pattern that looks like knitted stitches. And I just thought that was really fun. So I thought maybe I'll wait until the end of the season because they change out their cups all the time. Sometimes they go on clearance, but then I thought if it doesn't go on clearance or they sell out, then I'm going to miss out. So I treated myself, not something I do often, and I bought a new cup because I love the color and the pattern. And the last thing I want to share on non-knitting related thing today, and then I promise we're going to get to Sock Sunday, is what I'm reading. I've gotten these ideas about sharing what I'm drinking and sharing what I'm reading from other knitting podcasts. And I just kind of like the idea of incorporating things that I love into the videos that I make. I don't know if anyone's really even interested, and if you're not, that's okay. But I like the idea of it. So I'm going to share what books I currently am reading, and then I promise we're going to get on to the really good knitting content. So this bookmark was in my prize basket from Bunko. It says, drink good coffee and read good books. Two of my favorite things, by the way, are coffee and books. All right, so the books, I don't read much fiction. It's not that I dislike it, but if I'm going to read about something, I like facts. I like things that really happened. I like reading about real people, real events. Occasionally, I will read something like historical fiction because then at least there is some truth to whatever I'm reading, and then I just do my own research to find out more about whatever the event was or the person or whatever. But this one in no particular order. I get most of my books from the library. I very rarely buy them anymore. This is called Green Gold by Sarah Alabak and Monique F. Parsons, The Avocado's Remarkable Journey from Humble Superfood to Toast of a Nation. I haven't gotten very far in this book. I actually have had it in my library basket for weeks. I probably should read it because I think it's actually got, I don't think I can renew it much longer than what I've already renewed it. So I'm not very far into it. It is very interesting. I'll keep you posted on that. I love avocados, and it sounded interesting. And I was kind of curious, how did avocados become so popular? So we'll see. I'm not very far in. I read the way that I knit, which is in the pockets of time I have. Usually I do my reading in the evenings before bed. Not too often during the day because I'm usually very busy. I'm either at work or I'm going to and from appointments for my children, or I'm trying to catch up on the house, things that need to be done. So I don't make time to sit and read very often outside of the evenings. The next one, I don't remember where I picked this up. I bought this from the Molalla Library, from their book sale. The Girls of Atomic City, The Untold Story of the Women Who Helped Win World War II by Denise Kiernan. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. I love reading about anything from this time period, from the about early 1900s through about the 50s. There was a lot going on in those decades, and I just find it all really fascinating. The stories of how people survived in these crazy, chaotic, political, social, economic times, and how they got through is just fascinating. But I also really appreciate books that talk about people, specifically minorities and women who did amazing things for technology or for different fields of industry, just different things in life that maybe during this particular time period wasn't really I don't know if accepted is the right word, but it wasn't really celebrated the way that it is in today's culture. And so I just find books like this really inspiring. They're very fascinating. I read another one several months ago about, I can't remember the name of it because I wasn't planning to talk about that book, but it was a book about the Black women who helped with NASA. And I'll have to look it up because it was a very interesting story, and the things that they overcame and the work that they did, these brilliant women that eventually got the credit that they deserved. And so I think it's going to be a very similar book to that, women who did amazing things that are getting credit and recognized for doing these amazing things in winning the war, specifically with this book. And then the last book is fiction, and it's actually a book that I read quite some time ago. I don't normally read sappy fiction. There's a little bit of sappy romance, nothing bad, it's pretty clean, but this is by Debbie May Comer, The Shop on Blossom Street. She has several books, and I've read, I think, most of the Blossom Street series. And really, I only am interested in these books because they involve a knitting shop. And I've often thought how fun it would be to have my own knitting shop, which I've noticed Molalla does not have. And there's a couple of empty buildings that I think would be perfect. So I think if I were able, I would probably be looking into opening a knitting shop here, but that will never happen. It's just a pipe dream, but that's why I like this book. So it's about these several women who come together at this knitting shop. It's based up in Seattle, Washington, and it's their stories. And it's a good book. It's not one that I would likely read over and over again, but once in a while I get a hankering to reread a book that I enjoyed years ago. So those are the 3 books that I have currently being read. Now we're going to get on to Sock Sunday. I hope I'm not boring you. If I am, I'm sorry. You don't have to continue watching. All right. Let's talk about the socks that I actually worked on and made progress on this week. Last Sunday, I did not do a lot of knitting. I did a little bit while we were at church and I was listening to the message, and then we got home and the day kind of went sideways. It was a holiday weekend. It was right before the start of school, so it was just kind of an odd weekend. Not a lot of knitting got done, and that's okay, but I did make some progress on the second sock of Michael's pair. I am working on the foot, and I'm not really sure. I wouldn't say I'm halfway, maybe about a third of the way, a little more than that. So this pair will likely get done this week. And then I will wash them and he can wear them just in time for the weather to turn. It's starting to get a little cooler and he's very excited for his socks. The next pair is also from Michael. And I did make some progress on this. Not very much, really. I did get past the gusset. And again, not very far into the foot. And this pair I'm actually going to make a little bit longer in the foot because he's growing. And so when I tried on the first of this set, this pair, they fit him okay, but they're a little short in the foot. And so this pair, I'm actually going to make the feet a little bit longer so he has plenty of room to grow into them and wear them. And then so far the leg seems to be fine on the fit, maybe a little snug, but I think that is less due to the way that I knit my socks. Let's see, what am I trying to say? I don't think it's snug because of the way his legs are. I think it's because I went down a needle size, and even though I increased on the stitch size, it's just naturally going to be a little bit tighter of a tension. But I think it'll be fine. On his next pair, although, I'll probably go up a little bit on the needle size and then maybe decrease on the stitch size. I don't know, we'll see. So I did make a little progress on those. That is still the first sock. This week, when I do work on my socks, I decided I'm going to work on the pairs that I already have in progress. So I have, I think, 2 or 3 pairs where I only have one sock done, and I have not even cast on for the second. And I think before I cast on for any of the other socks, I want to finish up what's already on the needles, just to make things a little less overwhelming, especially since, again, I knit in the pockets I have of time, and some weeks I just don't have a lot of extra time to knit. So on that note, let's talk about this next pair that I have not touched in probably a couple of weeks. It's probably been 2 weeks since I picked this up. So these are the pair of socks I'm making for my coworker in Oregon duck colors. That's not why I bought the yarn. It makes me think of lemons and limes. The colorway is called, I don't remember actually. I bought it from Yarnable, from Hypnotic Yarns. That's not it. I'm not sure that I even have the tag anymore, actually. Is it this one? Haha, I found it. Okay. So this was from Hypnotic Yarns. It was the May 2025 colorway for the color of the month that I have a subscription to, but I actually bought this before my subscription. This was their Imperfect yarn. It's called Squeeze the Day. I don't know how well you can see that with the light there. So Imperfect yarn is a really good way to get really good sock yarn for not a lot of money, because this particular company, and I don't know if any other sock yarn companies do this, they probably do, but if there's a skein of yarn that maybe has some splitting in it, or maybe the colorway wasn't quite up to snuff, they put it into their Imperfect section, and they mark it down, and then you can get really beautiful yarn, but you're not paying full price. But they don't have Imperfect yarns available all the time on Hypnotic Yarns, so you have to really keep an eye out for it. But that's how I got this colorway, and I love it. I love the way it does this sort of twisting around the sock. It's bright, but I wouldn't say it's an obnoxious color. So I am still working on the gussets of these, but they're about halfway finished. So I think today I'm actually going to work on these and see how far I get. If you're in the sports world, I guess there's something called the Civil War Games. It's a football thing between the Beavers and the Ducks. I don't know. Is that an important game in the sports world? I don't know. But I thought it would be fun for my friend to have these socks to wear while he's cheering on his team. So we'll see. I think that is probably all I'm going to work on for socks today. Now that I'm past whatever mistake I made, I had to rip out, I don't remember if I shared this, but I somehow made an error on the heels and the heel turn. And so when I went to pick up stitches to start my gussets, things were a little twisted and I couldn't figure out what happened. So I ripped everything back and then I re-knit up to where I think I made my mistake. I watched a couple of knitting tutorials and I think I'm back on track now. So today for Sock Sunday, I'm just going to work on this pair of socks and see how far I get. I think I'll make my goal to at least get the gussets done. I don't know. I mean, I'm home today, and I did tell my boys we would go to the park today after church, which is really good knitting time. So I should be able to get some progress made, but who knows? I think I said that last week, but last week was kind of an exception because there was other stuff going on. I think I'm going to stop it here. We'll see what socks I have off the needles next week for Sock Sunday. I have no idea if I'm going to do another knitting video this week. I do try to do one other knitting video throughout my week in addition to Sock Sunday. So just keep an eye on my YouTube channel, Stitches with Love. My name is Elizabeth, and I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. And until next time, happy knitting.